Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday morning, November the 11th. Quite interesting weather over the past several days. It included indeed a massive snowstorm for much of Colorado and New Mexico. As much as 19 inches of snow reported in the Denver metro region. Into New Mexico, Santa Fe came in with 15 plus inches of snow and 6 inches all the way down to Albuquerque. Quite a massive snowstorm for this early in the season. Yes, indeed, the Mid-Atlantic region dry streak ended late yesterday, last night. Philadelphia, for example, went 42 days without measurable precipitation. It came to an end late yesterday and last night with not a significant rainfall, but enough to cause some measurable precipitation, probably on the order of a quarter-inch or more in some spots, and maybe an additional round of showers for the Mid-Atlantic region on Thursday. Meanwhile, in the tropics, no tropical activity right now. Hurricane Rafael drifted across the Gulf of Mexico over the weekend and ultimately fell apart. Rafael crossed over western part of Cuba last week as a Category 3, as a major hurricane, then went into the southeastern part of the Gulf of Mexico as a hurricane, kind of bouncing back and forth between a Cat 2 and a Cat 3, and then just slowly drifted to the west over the subsequent several days here. And by last night, pretty much completely fell apart. The mid-level center kind of became displaced from the low-level circulation center. Kind of a rare track. Certainly doesn't happen often that a hurricane moves into the Gulf of Mexico and never makes landfall. Not totally unprecedented, but indeed rare. And it actually was a kind of an interesting tropical season in that Milton, as you recall, started off intensifying in this part of the Gulf of Mexico and then moved basically due east to just south of Tampa Bay. That also was a relatively rare track for a Gulf of Mexico tropical system. Now, let's clear the deck here and just point out that I do believe there may be at least one more system. We'll look in this area over the next, let's say, next week or so right here. There could very well be another tropical system that intensifies into a named tropical storm, and we'll take a look here over the next several days here. I don't think tropical season is quite over yet. Now, before we take a look ahead at some of the surface forecast maps and upper air maps from last night's Canadian model run, I want to take a look at this teleconnection index known as the North Atlantic Oscillation. It kind of reflects upon the precipitation and temperature patterns and wind patterns up across the northern latitudes in the Arctic region down into the high latitudes of Canada, for example. And when it slides into negative territory as we progress into the winter season, it generally suggests there can be high latitude blocking. That's higher heights than normal, higher pressures than normal, up across places like Canada, Greenland, even Iceland. And it's kind of closely related to its cousin known as the Arctic Oscillation. And again, when the two of them slide into negative territory, watch out for some high latitude blocking. And when you get into the winter season, as we are now progressing towards, that usually results in some colder air masses moving into the central and eastern U.S. And take a look here. The red here is the forecast of the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, as we go into the second half of November. And indeed, it drops pretty significantly into negative territory and kind of stays down in negative territory through much of the second half of November. And sure enough, and we'll take a look in a moment, there can be some impressive cold air masses moving into central and eastern states, let's say the third and fourth week of November. We'll take a look ahead on some of the computer forecast maps in a moment here. But again, this is kind of giving us a signal that some winter-like air masses may be moving into the central and eastern U.S. later this month. Well, let's take a look ahead here with the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps from last night's run of the Canadian model. Certainly, we'll see what I mean by high latitude blocking with respect to the heights compared to normal up across Canada here. Right now we have high pressure ridging kind of dominating the center part of the nation, and we'll just progress forward here and watch how this whole upper air pattern evolves over the next 10 days or so. Here we go into the Tuesday and then into the middle part of the week. Pretty strong high pressure ridging here centered over the Hudson Bay region of Canada at midweek. And remember, I always talk about the red flag, that high pressure ridging over southeastern Canada. This time of the year, we're still towards the tail end of the tropical season, but nonetheless, watch out for high pressure ridging up in southeastern Canada to allow for a tropical system to undercut it way down to the south here. And we'll see this is going to be replaced over the next several days by yet another high pressure ridge. And we'll watch out right here. And you can see right here, I'm just kind of focused in by Sunday, this high pressure ridging all the way along the eastern part of Canada, eastern part of the U.S. Indeed, that could open the door for some tropical mischief down in this area, kind of undercutting that particular ridge. Now, this is impressive, and this is kind of being suggested by that drop of the North Atlantic Oscillation into negative territory. You see these heights are so above normal, they're almost off the scale here. This is way above normal for heights, which translates to very high pressure in this part of North America. Now let's clear away the pencil markings here, go forward in time a little bit, and it kind of sticks around there, and it really intensifies here as we get into not this week, but next week. We're all the way out to November 19th or so, and this is very impressive blocking type pattern up across Greenland right here in northern Canada. And again, this could allow for some very chilly air, winter-like air, to move into the central and eastern states. We'll go all the way out. This particular model run runs all the way out to 10 days here, and this is an impressive trough with tremendous blocking here up across the northern part of Canada, Greenland. I think a couple days later, this whole trough will slide into the eastern states, and there could be some chilly air around. In other words, by the time we get to, let's say, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th or so of November, could be quite interesting in the eastern states. Well, now let's take a look at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. By the way, all these maps at tropicaltidbits.com, and this set of maps and the prior set of maps for the North America point of view, for the surface maps, will kind of go back to the continental U.S. But let's move forward here rather quickly, and we could see some of the cold air masses starting to show up across North America. Here we go into the latter part of this week, the middle part of November, and at this particular time you start to see this well above normal temperatures up across northeastern Canada associated with that high latitude blocking. Whenever you see high pressure ridging here, temperatures are above normal in that part of North America, but it can become quite a bit below normal across the central and eastern states with that kind of a high latitude blocking pattern in the winter season. Now we're progressing through here. Again, very anomalous temperatures here associated, very anomalous heights and pressures across northern Canada. This is a week from tomorrow, next Tuesday or so, and we'll go all the way out. This particular model goes out 10 days, and here is a very chilly air mass for this time of the year showing up across the central and western U.S. And again, I believe it very well could slide to the east beyond this time period in which the model ends here, 10 days out here. So we're talking about potential interesting weather here with winter-like air in the eastern states, let's say around November 22nd, 23rd, 24th or so. Well, let's take a look now at the surface forecast maps. And again, this is kind of a reflection here at the surface of Raphael, but it's pretty much completely fallen apart right now. We did break the dry streak in the mid-Atlantic region late yesterday, last night. Again, Philadelphia, for example, ended its streak of consecutive days without measurable precipitation. By the way, measurable precipitation means 0.01 inches of rain. A trace does not break the streak. We had a day or two where there was a trace of rain in some of these mid-Atlantic locations. That did not break the streak. It had to be 0.01 or above and that certainly happened late yesterday and last night. The mid-Atlantic rainfall moving out of the picture right now. It's kind of a secondary cold front. It's kind of an interesting cold front that slides through late tonight, early Tuesday morning, in that it will be a relatively dry frontal passage, probably no precipitation in the I-95 corridor region, and it ushers in quite a chilly air mass. So you see anchored by high pressure over the northern Great Lakes. This is a chilly air mass, and it could lead to the coldest temperatures of the year so far late tomorrow night, early Wednesday morning. Places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and all the surrounding suburbs to the north and west, probably lows anywhere from, let's say, 28 to 32 degrees in many of those suburban locations. Again, late tomorrow night and early Wednesday morning, and again the next night, late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. So some of the coldest temperatures so far this season heading into the mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. in that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Now, we'll move forward here in time, and we have another frontal system that moves in from the west into the mid-Atlantic region. Very well could produce more showers, and we could use multiple rain events in the mid-Atlantic region. So some showers on Thursday with that next frontal system. Not a heavy rain event by any means. And then notice this blue starting to show up here with that high latitude blocking setting up over northern Canada, Greenland. You're starting to get some cold air filtering into the northeast U.S. and the possibility of some snow across some of the northern New England higher elevation locations, and mixed over the Hudson Bay region of Canada. We'll go out a little bit farther in time through the upcoming weekend, and here we go into next week. Another frontal system could cause some showers in the mid-Atlantic, in the northeast U.S. About a week from right now. We're looking at next Monday, the 18th or so, and right here at the bottom of the map you can start to see some precipitation showing up here. This is a week from right now, and again, very well could be yet another tropical system that forms in the Caribbean Sea, may end up over the Gulf of Mexico next week to 10 days or so. We'll keep an eye on those particular portions of the Atlantic Basin. So a lot going on over the next few weeks. Quite an interesting weather pattern, and that North Atlantic Oscillation teleconnection signal could be telling us it could be some cold air masses, winter-like air masses, moving into the central and eastern U.S. during the second half of November. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Orian.